Okay, so this is April 6th, Monday, Math 6, Lesson 107, and we're going to continue on talking about ratios. And remember, ratios is a way to compare numbers. So, in 1942, a Mexican farmer watched in amazement as his cornfield began to rise. Red-hot rocks shot into the air. A volcano was forming before his eyes. By evening, the cone, now known as the volcano Paricutin, had grown to approximately 20 meters. If it continued to grow at this rate, how tall would it have been at the end of 6 days? So the ratio table shows one way this problem can be solved. So if you see that in 1 day it grew 20 meters. In 2 days it would grow 40 meters. In 3 days it would grow 60 meters. And you can see up above that they took the first one and multiplied it by 2. And then they took 20 and multiplied it by 3. And then they took 20 and multiplied it by 4. And then they took 20 and multiplied it by 5. And then they took 20 and multiplied it by 6. It's basically working in fractions, right? Because 20 over 1 and 80 over 4, for example, we could reduce this, right? Because they would both divide by 2 if we wanted to, and 40 over 2. And then they would divide by 2 again, 20 over 1. And we're back to our original. And you can see that all of these ratios are the same. These all mean the same thing. They reduce down to the same number. So they are what we would call equivalent, or equivalent ratios, or equivalent fractions. Now, how do we find out if two ratios are equivalent? For example, let's compare these two. Well, if you remember learning this in fractions, I can cross multiply to see. So remember, I start at the bottom and I multiply up and across, and I say 4 times 40 is 160, and then I multiply across this way and I get 160. If these numbers are the same, then they are equivalent or equal. Okay? If this number is bigger, then this ratio or fraction is bigger. If this number is bigger, then this ratio or fraction is bigger. Make sure you always start from the bottom and multiply up so that you have those correct numbers. Sorry, I can see that there's a glare. There we go. All right. Shut this door. There we go. Get rid of that glare for you. All right. So, skip down to where it says, in a magazine, 2 out of every 5 pictures showed the devastation caused by the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. So 2 of every 5 pictures. There were 60 pictures of this type in all. What was the total number of pictures in the magazine? So there were 60 pictures showing the destruction. So 2 destruction pictures of every 5 pictures taken. And there were 60 of these devastation pictures in all. Do you see how devastation pictures to devastation pictures? Total number of pictures to total number of pictures. And here it wants to know, well, what was the total number of pictures in the magazine? So this is our question mark. Okay? And this is how we set up our ratio. All right? So let's think through this. One of the ways to get there is to think, well, 2 times what equals 60? Well, 2 times 30. Do you agree? So whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So what is 5 times 30? 5 times 0 is 0, and 5 times 3 is 15. So how many pictures were there in the magazine? There were 150 pictures. Okay, let's do another problem. Mrs. Anderson paid $15 for 6 magazines in her class. If each magazine cost the same amount, how much would the 3 magazines cost? So she paid $15 for 6 magazines. if each magazine cost the same, how much would 3 magazines? So what does this equals the amount, and we're wanting to find out the amount. That's what we don't know. Well, we had 6 magazines here, so we should put magazines here, which are the 3. How much would 3 magazines cost? Now, does it matter if we do it like this? No, it doesn't. But we want to make sure we have magazines to magazines and cost to cost. Okay? And it won't matter which way you put it. You'll still get the correct answer. Okay? So how do I get from 6 to 3? I need to multiply or I need to divide. Okay? I'll move my board a little bit. There we go. Cut out that glare for you. So what we have to do is we have to think, okay, well, I can't multiply because the number gets smaller, so I divide. What do I divide by? I divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So whatever I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. Okay? And 15 divided by 2. Well, that's not quite as easy of an answer. But if we're talking about money, okay, then we know that it would be $7.50. We wouldn't want to say 7.5, would we? Okay, so $7.50 is how much you would spend on 3 of those. All right, so today you're going to be doing some cross multiplication to see if they are equal or not equal. So equal or not equal will be your sign. And then you're going to be writing some equations. Okay, and then doing some word problems like we worked on today. Let me know if you have any questions by Marco Poloing me, and I'm here to help you with it. Let's do numbers 1 through 14.